such an interesting topic. How do you know when it's your insecurity and when do you know it's a boundary? Listen, if you've come from trauma like I have, and how a lot of people have, that's really difficult to answer, because most of the time when you come from a home that, your power was taken away, you were controlled, things were dictated to you, it's very hard to know your sense of self. In fact, that in itself is a work that you kind of have to really dive into. Not kind of, you have to dive into, is really understanding your sense of self. But if you've never been able to be equipped of like, hey, this is what a healthy boundary looks like, if you didn't come from a healthy home, that can be really confusing. And so I just want you to know, darling, like, you're not alone in this. So I want to help bring some clarity to you. So I'm going to start off with what is the insecurity, and then what is a boundary, and how do you know what is that one thing you're like, okay, I know that I'm definitely holding my boundary. And I'll share that with you at the very end. But first, I just want to help cultivate some understanding. So here's the thing about insecurity. Oh, and before I forget, always, because sometimes I forget, if you do need help, if you need support, you want my hand in this, be sure to go to my website and purchase some coaching. I have my Confused to Confident coaching on my website. It says coaching at the very top, or on the sidebar if you're on your phone. Go to coaching, get that program, or I even have a boundaries program. I really suggest you get the boundaries program and then the boundaries Bible. It's the actual scripts of what you say when you feel like your boundaries are being crossed, and how to stand up for yourself, and how to say what you want, because that's actually a boundary. So insecurity is often attached to a feeling. We feel it, our nervous system, our body, we feel our chest starts tightening. We go into that, we start almost having a trauma response. We go into fight or flight. It's like, oh, I'm losing my voice, or oh my God, I'm really scared and I want to shrink. We all have our different ways based on how we were brought up and based on our personalities, how we're going to respond. So most of the time when you're feeling insecure, that is just it. You're not just thinking insecurity, you're feeling it as well. And the two often can come with a lot of confusion. So if you ever want to know, like, am I being insecure, it's often clouded by tons of confusion. And I know that when you don't know your boundaries, it may seem that way, but I'm going to bring some clarity about that. So with insecurity, you feel it in your body. It's a visceral experience. You either want to attack, you want to freeze, you want to just lay over her, you want to hide, you want to run out of the room. This is often a good sign that it's insecurity. It's not necessarily your boundary. So what is it when it's your boundary? There's almost a sense of, I know that this is right, but the mind, it's like you have a state of calm, you have a state of determination. It's like, no, I know this is right. And what gets tricky is, if you haven't done nervous system work, or you haven't processed trauma, which all these things that have gotten you in this position, and if you have, I'm really sorry. It's like, why did this have to happen? Well, it did happen, and that sucks. But there is healing and there is redemption if you choose to go down that path. So a boundary is, I know this is right, but sometimes the mind will start talking you out of it. The mind will start negotiating. It'll try to convince you why you need to compromise, probably to go, oh, this feels scary. I feel threat. I could get hurt. And so I just need to keep peace, or I just need to run away. But with a boundary, it's something that you go, no, I know that this is right. And it's sometimes the articulating it, it's conveying the boundary that gets a little bit tricky, which is why I really encourage you to get the boundary Bible, because it gives you the scripts on what to say. But a boundary is, it's right. Also, I really encourage you, if this is a struggle for you, like, really get clear and write down what your boundaries are. What are your non-negotiables? Because that can almost be like your 10 commandments. I know lots of Bible references. I grew up in a Christian home, so it's always these Bible references. But it's like your 10 commandments. Like, these are my non-negotiables. And you have to get really clear, and that's really going to support you in building your boundaries. But a boundary is like, I know this is right. I'm just struggling with conveying that to the other person. So this is the ultimate golden ticket. How do you actually know? This is what I promised you at the beginning of the video. How do you know when you're actually in your boundary and it's not insecurity? You know it's your boundary when you're allowing the person to be, say, who they are, and you don't need to change them. But regardless, you are owning your truth and you're staying committed to that. And it comes with a sense of calm, peace, and knowing. Like you just know it. It comes from a place of authority, not from a place of, I gotta have my way, or they're not listening to me. That's often coming from fear. That's a trigger response. That's a trauma response. But a boundary is like, I know this. I don't need to change you. I don't even need you to agree with me. One favorite thing I love to say is, you know what, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree and then walk away. But there's a sense of authority. There's a sense of knowing there, but it's not your job to change a person. When you allow the other person to be in their space, have their truth, have their way of disagreeing with you, that's when you know, okay, I am listening to my boundaries. So in the comment section, tell me if this brought some clarity to you. I would really love to know if this supported you and knowing the difference between when you're in your insecurity and when you're in a boundary. I would really love to know. I've got another video to support you, but darling, know that you're so loved. Know that you're loved. Know that you have this. Oh, and also be sure to subscribe. I should have said that at the beginning. I love you so much. You have what it takes, babe. Let's get to work. I'll see you in my next video. You take care.